The title of the study is Necessity as a Driver of Bending Agricultural Gender Norms in the Eastern Gangetic Plains of South Asia. There is limited literature to understand the relationship between culture and gender norms in agricultural participation and perceptions and experiences on breaking gender barriers in the EGP. To understand gender equity and women's empowerment, measures of normative change among men and women, including views about gender roles and masculinity, may be particularly significant. Studies have shown that views on traditional practice and dominant perception are important to understand gender bias. This study aims to understand gender constructs that define female agricultural role and perception of men and women regarding the current status of women in addition to the changing gender norms and roles. A subset of SRFSI qualitative data set was used for this study with interrelated themes on gender norms, gender barriers, and female involvement in agriculture. These included 34 interviews. While we are all familiar with the current gender norms across the regions, what our study finds is that there are some key drivers bending these norms and leading to changing culture. We can see in the green that these drivers include need of women in future of farming, obligation due to absence of men, project exposure, agricultural mechanization, labor shortage, and outmigration. In the blue, we can see that this means that changing involvement in agricultural activities, sharing space with men, change in conventional attitudes, reduced dependence on men, and increased aspirations of women. Extending women's involvement and scope in the future agricultural development initiatives, particularly those connected to technology and mechanization, as well as adopting steps to encourage their engagement, might enhance gender inclusion in the EGP. While gender norms have been broken in many different ways, yet there is still a long way to overcome the culturally rooted and interwoven systematic gender standards in the EGP. If the gender gap in agriculture is to be narrowed in the EGP, the policies and development strategies that are implemented should be restricted not just to broad agricultural development, but focus on specificities to bridge the gender gap in agriculture. Apart from that, community engagement to overcome social barriers and social criticism is also necessary.